Yeah. Peace and Black Power family. You already know what it is. This is your brother Sarnetta, and I am back here at the shrine of with my brother Jabari Hozaze. And let me just say this. Remember, I told you, you can always tell who loses a conversation, who loses a debate. Because what do they do after the debate? They run home, they whine, and they cry all on YouTube telling you about the next person did that and did this. Why not? Just wait until you see the video comes out, and you can be the judge on who was belligerent. You will see who was very disrespectful. As Jabari tries to hold his composure, you will see the young brothers being very nasty and rude and disrespectful. So, Brother Jabari, peace to you, my brother. I just want to ask you, man. Yeah. How do you feel about what happened yesterday with the young brother, and all the insults that he have called you now after the discussion y'all had?
Yeah. Well, here's the deal. Now, family, you've seen me now on my brother Salnetta's platform quite a bit, and I want you to know that I have had disagreements with a number of people. We disagree on the history of African people. We disagree on exactly what the meaning of the artifacts is. We disagree on the Bible's role in our history. We've disagreed on a lot of things. And I have to say to you that I never intended to have a debate with Prince York. I wanted to have a conversation with him. One of the reasons why I chose to have it as a conversation rather than a debate is because he and I agree on the overwhelming majority of the information. The Nuwaubians are part of the Kemetic community. My tradition through the Shrine of Ma'at, the Shrine of Ptah, is part of the Kemetic community as well. So in some ways what we were doing is we were talking about ideas that we share or do not share in the Kemetic community. And I wanted to meet with him because I really had some things that I either did not understand, things that I wanted to know more about that I really appreciated that Dr. York brought into existence, and also some things that concerned me. And you'll hear in the video that I say those things. I really wanted to be, I can't say I wanted to be respectful to him because I remained respectful to him through the entire discussion. There were several times when he lost his composure, got upset, got flustered, decided he did not want to be there anymore, decided he didn't want to be on camera. And finally, he then says that he wants to do this in a bit more of a debate format. He wants to come downstairs and do a presentation with me being silent, and then I do a presentation with him being silent. That's not the format that I wanted, because when you go into a format like that, now you're contesting ideas rather than having a dialogue. I didn't want to do that. I have respect for the Nuwaubian nation. I have respect for all of those people, those friends and family members that I have that are in the Nuwaubian nation. That doesn't mean we agree on everything. What group does agree on everything? So I wanted to talk to him about those things. That's not how it went. And I did not think that yesterday's conversation went well. I didn't. But this morning, I got a message from one of my really good friends and compatriots, and he actually sends me a video, and it says Brother Jabari versus Prince York. And I looked at it, I said, is this another version of Brother Sarnetta's video? In actuality, at around 1 a.m. this morning, Prince York decides to stream a video and talk about me. And so while I thought he was being disrespectful while he was here, the level of disrespect demonstrated in that video was absolutely at an all-time high. I'm stunned that he did that. I'm stunned that he did that. He actually, and listen, I've been debating Hebrew Israelites who are my brothers, but we share less in common in terms of our ideologies, in terms of our visions for the black community, in terms of our understanding of who the African is and what we did. We share less in common than I do with the Nuwaubians, clearly. But never have I had anyone use these terms about me in those debates. And some of those debates, if you look at the Hebrew Revenger debate, that was nasty. They got ugly. But they didn't call me, and these are the words that Prince York used for me. They didn't call me a house nigger. They didn't say I was a demon, a slave, an Oreo, a high yellow Negro, and a black devil. So even with all of the disrespect that I faced in that discussion, that debate, and that was a debate, family. That was a debate. They didn't choose to use that kind of inflammatory language. Now, I know Prince York is upset that I said that he was young. Family, he's 25. He's young. By any standard, he's young. But, and I'm talking now to my Nubian family. Based on how he behaved during the discussion, and certainly based on how he's behaved after the discussion, am I wrong to say that he is still immature? Is that wrong? Am I actually saying something incorrect about this brother? If you believe that I'm being unfair based on his behavior, tell me. Share with me, no, Brother Jabari, you misunderstand. And I really want to hear it. I want to hear it. If I've done something wrong to that brother, I need to know. We had a disagreement, a discussion of ideas. I never personally attacked him. I didn't call him these terms. And for him to begin to now bring back the ugly history of colorism in our community, calling me a high yellow Negro, what is that about? By the way, I have seen Prince York on video, in pictures, and now in person. This brother is not Wesley Snipes. You would think that he's darker than the blackest African. That's a brown-skinned brother. He's only a few shades darker than me. How in all of a sudden is this the battle between the black African and the high yellow Negro, who, as he continues to say this, I'm being paid by the European, by the Tom Who. I'm misleading our people, giving them white sciences in our community. First of all, even in the same video, he even says that he didn't know me before he sat down with me. I know that that's not true, because before we spoke, he said he'd been watching my videos. So obviously that is not true. But if he doesn't know me, then how does he know what I teach? How does he know? Many of the things that he says are absolute contradictions within his own dialogue. Many of the other things that he has said clearly describe a misunderstanding or a poor conception of the history of our ancient African people, and particularly Kemetic history, Kemetic and Nubian history. He doesn't understand it. And I think that part of the challenge is that what he's doing is he's only reading the books that his father wrote. His father never intended. And listen, I'm not going to say that I'm the expert on what Dr. York wrote, but from what I know of what he wrote, Dr. York never intended to write a comprehensive history of the region. That wasn't what he was doing. He was responding to questions. That's not a comprehensive history of a region. In order to understand, you have to do more research. And you have to stop saying that doing more research is going into what white people have written. There are plenty of authors of African descent that have described the history of Africa. And okay, you're upset with me. Maybe you're not going to read my book, because he stormed out of here without even getting the book that I autographed for him. That was a gift, just as he said that he brought me gifts, which, by the way, he took with him and did not leave for me. I'm going to still send him the book. And I hope that I'm not going to be sitting there watching him read it. I hope that he reads it, because he's going to see what my perspective is. He's going to see where my allegiances lie. And family, you have been watching me on Sonnetter's network. Some of you have been saying, man, you're on Sonnetter a lot. I'm honored that Sonnetter has asked me to be on his platform as much as he has. But if you have looked at me, could you say that you think I'm working on the behalf of the European, the Tamu? And when I say that the Tom Who is an African, am I saying that to say that we should forgive him for all the things that have been done? Am I saying that he is the same as us? That he viewed that his culture is the same as ours? That his perspective on the world, his perspective on the divine, his perspective on human relations is the same. I've never said that. But I am stating a scientific reality that all of humanity has its origin in Africa. Now, that doesn't mean that in the tens of thousands of years that they've been outside of Africa, that things, their ideas, their concepts haven't changed. Who would argue that they haven't? I wouldn't do that. And I never have. So to pretend that me saying that the European, the Tom who has their origin in Africa, is in some way showing that I have some sort of bizarre love for the Tomhu, where does that come from? The concept of a mitochondrial Eve, the concept of an African origin of all of humanity, is now doctrinal science. Who doesn't know that? We're just debating when people left. We're not debating whether that's where they started. This is no longer in debate. Brother, you have to do more research and more study. And I'm not going to engage in insulting you the way that you insulted me. Because in this instance, I am your older brother. It would be inappropriate for me to stoop to the depths that you have. I would never do that. I wouldn't have done that if you said those things in my face. That's not how I'm built, because I have love for African people. Even those people who are misguided, even those people that allow their egos to embarrass them and embarrass their community. I would never do that to you. We have disagreements, fine. So go back and do some more research. You already challenged me to a debate. I never intended to debate you. But if you challenge me to a debate, I'm going to debate you. Do some more research and come back stronger. That's how you do it. Don't go and start to insult people using the worst possible language, insulting my ethnicity, my Africanness. Why would you do that? Insulting what I teach. You know nothing about what the Shrine of Ma'at is about. Not a clue. Not a clue. So this is ridiculous. Let me just go through a few of the things that he said that are real problems. First of all, there's a fundamental issue here with the way that our brother Prince York provides information. If you listen to him carefully, he talks about pre-dynastic or proto-dynastic Egypt, and he keeps using the word Egypt. Folks, you know the word Kemet. Why is he saying Egypt with you? But when he talks about pre-dynastic and proto-dynastic Kemet, he's contrasting that as if that is the African or black portion of our history, and that the ensuing 3,200 years is the European history, is the Tomhu history, is the white history. But then when someone in his own video says, are you saying that the Arabs or the Europeans built the pyramids? He says, no, we built that. Is it that he doesn't understand when they were built? Is it that he doesn't understand that the first true Mirkuti were built in the end of the 3rd and the 4th dynasty? This is in dynastic history. Are you giving away 3,200 years of excellence for what you consider to be pre-dynastic or proto-dynastic? What are you doing? He even goes as far to say that I claimed that Nakada is not a pre-dynastic site. That's not what I said. I know more about Nakada than I'm sure he does. I visited the Nakada. I've seen those sites. And I've seen all of the artifacts from Nakada in many of the museums around the world. All of the museums where they are in the United States, museums where they are in the UK, museums where they are clearly on the continent. So what is he saying exactly? If he understood what he was saying, he would understand that I'm actually asking about the origin of the language that is Nuwapic. That's what I'm asking about. And I asked him, well, if he's gotten it from pre-dynastic or proto-dynastic people, then which people? And he struggles describing it. He tries to say that it's Napata and Nakada. By the way, let's be really clear. Napata is a much later city. That doesn't mean that it's not created by great Africans. I'm not saying that to throw shade on the Nubian people. Why would I do that? Listen, that doesn't make sense. What I'm trying to do is get him to explain how he argues that Nuwapic is an ancient language. Now, if you watch the video, he's going to prevaricate. He's going to say, I didn't say it was an ancient language. It is an ancient language. It is an ancient language. The whole conversation started because he said to me that the Nuwapian language is an ancient language. And you'll even hear me say, an ancient language? He surprised me. I didn't expect he was going to say that. I didn't expect he was going to say that. I said, well, when your father created the language, it was not created. It always existed. Then he goes on to say that 85% of it is the Medu Neter, but it was put together by dialects that were of proto-dynastic, pre-dynastic people in the region. Those people don't speak the Medu Neter. Those people don't speak the language of the ancient Kemetic people. Are there similarities? I'm sure there's similarities. But you cannot build a language from other dialects of other people. By the way, I still don't believe that those people speak even the same language. I've been to the region, family. I've spoken to the elders in those communities that are older in the region. They don't speak the same language. But he wants to argue that they're dialects of the same unified language. That's not the case. By the way, all of those languages in that region, as I said and will continue to say, they don't have scripts. They're oral traditions. But then he says that when I say that, it means I'm saying they're savages. He actually said, I said that these pre-dynastic Africans were savages. Family, do you think that I would say that Africans are savages? Just look at, there's a whole chapter on my book diffusing the concept that Africans were savages. Where does that come from, Brother Prince? Is that somewhere in your psyche and you need to cleanse it? Open it to the light of Ra so it can be cleansed? I never said that, nor would I ever say that. I just said they didn't have scripts. They weren't written languages. And he said that his father pulled together scripts and ancient languages that were older than Kemet. That's where I asked that question. It doesn't make sense. By the way, look at the video. I noticed this. I was writing notes up here, so I didn't see this. He looks at where I have a map of where Nakata would be in the present day, and Napata is in the present day, and he calls Nakata, Napata, and Napata, Nakata. You know why he does that? Because he doesn't know where the sites are. That's why. He doesn't actually know. Prince, you need to actually do some more research. Don't have so much ego that you realize that there's more that you have to learn. And don't just simply say that everything that comes from a university is a white man's information. It was at Cornell University that I had deep relationships and lasting relationships with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. Were there Tomwho there that were trying to destroy me or trying to discredit me? Of course there were. I got my degree in Africana Studies actually against their will. I had to fight them to get the knowledge of our people, which was taught at the Africana Study and Research Center. That's what I did. I'm not beholden to the Tomwho. He tries to show a picture of a Tomwho Roman Catholic and me. And I'm wearing black and red, and he's wearing black and red. So he tries to say that I'm still dressed in Roman Catholic clothes. That's really funny. By the way, if you knew my tradition, the reason why I was wearing black and red is because the video was filmed on a Saturday. And in my tradition, the tradition that comes out of the Shrine of Ptah, that was brought forth by Baba Heru Ankh Ra Samad Se Ptah, black and red is Saturday. So even though I am the high priest of the Shrine of Ma'at, the Shrine of Ma'at is a flower on the tree that has roots in the Shrine of Ptah. That's why Baba Heru is my shrine elder, because he is still our guide. He even says, well, did he create the Shrine of Ma'at in opposition to the Shrine of Ptah? No, I did not. How could it be in opposition if Baba Heru is the shrine elder? Do you think he would be in the shrine elder if it was in opposition? Why don't you ask him about it? Instead of trying to insult me and by extension insult Baba Heru. And by the way, let's talk about Baba Heru for a second. Because he wants to say that Baba Heru said very positive things about his father and his uncle. I want to be very clear that Baba Heru did say positive things about his father and uncle. And I don't know your uncle. I'm not familiar with your uncle. But if you had listened to me, I will also say positive things about your father. There are many things that I hope to emulate that Dr. York did. And I said that to you on several occasions. I said that to you. I'm not trying to tear down your father. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Do I have concerns, questions about how he did what he did? Sure, I do. But that doesn't mean I'm trying to tear him down, that I don't respect him. Listen carefully. Just because he is an elder doesn't mean that he's beyond critique and question. When we get into that situation, that's when we create human messiahs. And that is exactly what I'm saying you should be careful about. And then he says, well, he debates his own elder. If you speak to Baba Heru, he will tell you that he and I debate. But because you think debate is nasty and ugly, and obviously you do with the words that you used about me, you don't understand that our debate is to sharpen ideas. I learn from him in debates. And I would be humbled to say that I believe that he also learns from me, because I was on the path before I met Baba Heru. But yes, I have learned so much from him. I've learned so much from him. And so we continue to discuss things and to vie at things. Sometimes I think he even takes the counter position, not because he believes it, and I know I do this, but because we want to debate it. Because debating my elder, someone I respect, prepares me for when I have to challenge my tradition outside. Because people challenge us all the time. You think you're the only one under fire, Prince York? You're new to this. I know you think I'm new because you just saw me on Sonetta TV. Son, I've been in the Kemetic community for nearly 30 years. And yes, I was a Roman Catholic. Do you know what it's like as a young man to actually renounce your vows? Do you know what it's like to actually tell your parents, and yes, you were born Nuwapian, so you don't know what this is like, to tell your parents that the things that they gave you are things that you have to now give back to them and try to pull them someplace else? That's still a bit of conflict that I have with my own parents, and I'm still very close to them. You've heard me say that if I'm on Sonetta TV. My family is in the Roman Catholic Church. And not everything I learned there, the people that I met there, those aren't evil people. I have respect and love for people that are still there. I'd say 99.9% of that church are people of African descent. Do you know how challenging it is to say that all those things that you learned, you now disagree with? That's challenging, brother. Just because somebody said something to you online, that's not the same thing. Stop it. With a little maturity, you'll be able to step out of your own shoes and see someone else's perspective. And clearly, I thought you were more mature than you actually prove that you are. And that hurts me too, because I thought, my brother, I really wanted to talk to you because I thought you were a bit more mature. And you actually, I am hurt by the fact that my young brother is not as mature as I thought he was. Because I want the best for you too. And when you behave this way, because you are family, it hurts me. And that's another reason why I won't stoop to the level that you did. Because how does it help me to insult you? How does it help me if you're standing arm to arm with people who are also in my family and I insult you? I would not do that. You said that I did many things while you were here to show you disrespect. You said that, for example, and Sonetta has to hear this, that I refused to give you a Wi-Fi code. I literally spent, you could see, I wish you could see Sonetta respond. Now listen, he said that. A lot of people have now come here. You've seen them. They've come here to have discussion, discourse, debate. And let's be clear, you should know in terms of security that you should never give anybody your Wi-Fi code. So if I said I didn't want to give it to you, it actually wouldn't have been something that would have been disrespectful to you. It would have been me trying to secure my own network. But I have given everyone, ask Divine Prospect, ask Zion Lex, ask anyone, ask Reggie, ask Brother Garfield who was here, ask Sonetta. Of course I give out my Wi-Fi password to people I agree with and people I disagree with, because I don't benefit by having you being hampered when you're trying to have a discussion. So of course I would have given you the Wi-Fi password. You asked me once, And I didn't give it to you because I brought you down here and connected you to my own laptop that has my own personal files on it. That's why I didn't give it to you. But if you had asked me again and said that you wanted it, I would have given it to you freely. Because I want you to be able to make the best arguments. Because that's how we all improve. By the way, it had to be 15 minutes trying to get your tech to work in my system. If I was trying to hamper you, why would I do that? I think one of the reasons why you did not recognize it is because you don't have higher technological skills. Clearly you don't, based on how you were fumbling here. You have to improve that too, because when you go to do presentations, you have to really be ready to show your information. You saw Sonetta zooming in on a small netbook. Why would he zoom in on a small netbook when we have near a 50-inch TV here? This is here because this is a teaching space. This is the shrine space. It's because you were not able to connect your, by the way, PC to a system that is run with PCs. And I spent a lot of time trying to get your stuff on. If I wanted to actually hamper you, why would I have done that? Why would you say something like that and then tell the sister that you were sitting with something like that? Why would you lie against your brother to another family member? Is that not despicable? You need to restore Ma'at with her and me. And apologize to her and me and to your community for lying. It's a lie. I never did that to you. You may disagree with our information, but I would never lie about you. How does it help me? Let's go further. You keep saying that I have pictures of Caucasian. By the way, I told you that word is not a word we should continue to use. That's not my information. That's the historical record on the word Caucasian, created by Johann Friedrich Blumenbach. And you just study why he created it. But you're using it sort of in opposition to me. That's why you kept using it yesterday. But let's recognize that that's not opposition to me. That's an opposition to you, brother. Why can't you see that? That's not Nuwapic or another language that we disagree on. That's in English. So you keep saying that I have pictures of Caucasian Egyptians all throughout my house. And I'll give you credit for one thing. You showed an image of me standing with those images. Family, once again, Prince York wants you to not trust your lying eyes. Because as you look at the image, you're not going to see the Tomhu. Are they the darkest Africans? No, because I don't believe, and I think there's a really good argument to make, that the ancient Kemetic people were not the darkest Africans. But you have to understand that the first African isn't even the darkest African. Go do some research on those people that are called the Khoisan people. Those are the oldest people on the planet. They're actually brown. They're actually a little bit lighter than you, Prince York. So, because you haven't studied history or science, you don't understand that it's not so simple that the oldest people were the darkest and the newest people were the lightest. It's not quite that way. That's an overly simplistic argument because humans change based on their environment when they stay there long enough. That is evolution. Are you saying you don't believe in evolution? What are you saying? We've always been here? I don't even understand what the argument is. You say that you don't agree with the mitochondrial Eve theory because there wasn't just one woman walking around. You have not read the theory. Mitochondrial Eve was not the only woman. How could she be the only woman? Do you need to actually have a conversation with your parents about how you were born? Please have that with them off camera. And let them tell you about how you were born. You have children. Don't you know how your children were born?
You don't have children.
He doesn't have children? So maybe he needs to have some. Or maybe you need to just ask someone. Ask someone about how children are made. I've never argued that the mitochondria, no one argues that mitochondrial age or how old you are. I would never do that. Because if you tell me that you're 25, then I believe you're 25. But you certainly did act like someone younger than 19. At points yesterday. You are very articulate. You're an intelligent man. You are. And I said that to you several times. There are people, my own queen says, why do you keep giving your opponent so much love? And it's because I want not just them, but the community to understand that they are still my family. And I know some of you don't get that. And the reason why she contrasts with it is because the one thing that people say about Kemet when they're struggling in debates is that we are homosexual. So when I say that I love my brother, some people might get uncomfortable. You need to grow up and understand that we have to have love for our family. It's because of love that I do what I do. It's certainly not because of economic benefit. I could be doing lots of other things and make good, really. Listen, I have lots of folks that are my peers that went to the same schools I went to that are making big money. And let me say this. I think the reason why people are trying to talk about your age is not because they're trying to insult you. They're trying to say, Jabari, you have to recognize he's even younger than you think he is. So maybe that's why he behaved the way that he did. That's what they're trying to say. But I didn't bring up any of that stuff. All of us have things in our past. You are not who you are on your best day, and you're not who you are on your worst day. I would not have done that to you, and a lot of other people would have. But if you are truly my brother, this wasn't a scorched earth. You know how many other things I could have said doing just a quick Google search about you and a quick Google search about your father? How does that benefit me to spit in the eye of my own family? I would never do that to you. That's why I didn't bring up any of that. Because honestly, I think that it's likely that the the European, is trying to tear you down just like they try to tear me down. I'm not going to use their information to hurt you. That's why I didn't bring it up. And I would not bring it up. And I will not bring it up. So you have to understand there's a way that you have intellectual discourse and discussion. I'm not going to even say debate because I never intended to debate you. But there's a way that you do it so that you can sharpen ideas without becoming negative and not without insulting people's character, calling me a black devil, saying I'm teaching things in my community. By the way, the whole video you put up was an infomercial. Family, stop it. If you don't agree with that, you need to look at the video. The video was like an hour and 30 minutes. It was streamed at 1 a.m. in the morning, so I know you were really upset. Because at 1 a.m., I was sleeping comfortably next to my queen. That's what you should be doing, rather than stewing about a conversation you had with your brother. That's what you should have been doing. But you streamed that video in the wee hours of the morning, and then you spent probably over 30 minutes trying to sell the Prince York pack. What is that? And you have the nerve to say that I'm on Sonnetter's network so that I could sell my trips to Kemet. First of all, you need to understand that I have taken, with the African Genesis Institute, over 3,000 people to Kemet. And that was before I met our dear brother Sonnetter. Would I like for more people to travel with me? Of course I would. And that's not because I'm going to just get money in my pocket. By the way, we all need money, and we all need finances to continue to do what you're doing. So you're not going to shame me for that. But I do it primarily because I'm trying to bring our people to knowledge. I could do other things that would enrich me better than doing that. I'm doing it because that is what the Creator, that is what the Inter asked me to do. And I've already realized that when you ask what is it that I'm supposed to do and you receive a divine answer, when you deviate from the course, family, it is painful. The Creator will forgive you for ignorance to a certain degree, but the Creator will not forgive you for violating the path when you know what the path is. And so I have to do this. You're trying to make it sound like I'm trying to support the European. And then you say that how could I lead tours in Kemet without speaking Arabic? By the way, did you ever ask me if I speak Arabic? The reality is I'm not fluent in Arabic, but I can speak a little bit because I've been traveling to Kemet for a very long time. But you have to understand that when I travel to Kemet, I work with people who speak English. Have you ever traveled to Kemet yourself? There are people who speak a multiplicity of languages there. I have very close friends who assist me on those tours, who live there and speak Arabic and English. That's how I do what I do. You don't have to ask me. You could look at the videos and see that. Sonetta has put some videos up of my trips there. Then he says that my Papyrus look like I got them on 42nd Street and I put them in some fancy frames. Actually, I thought that was funny. That wasn't the vilest thing you could have said. That was him trying to insult me in a way that's not below the belt. I thought that was funny, but it's ridiculous. I mean, it's just ridiculous. I just made my 14th trip to Kemet. 14th trip. By the way, the quality of the pieces that you see, you don't find those here. That's the stuff that you get when you're there. And I was going to give you a piece, but I'm not even sure if I should, because why don't you just go down to 42nd Street and get it yourself if that's where you think I got mine? So that is just ridiculous. Let me just say a few more things before I close, because I don't want this to be too long. He says that I use the white man's Google, and in the whole video, all he's doing is Googling. Brother, you have to stop and smell the irony. That makes no sense. Family, you're going to see him use Google the entire time after he insults me for using Google. By the way, Google is not the white man's Google. Are there things that you have put on the internet that are on Google now? Of course there are, because that's how it works. Just because you're Googling something doesn't mean that you're beholden to the white man. Who would say that? Stop it. By the way, you put your video up on YouTube, which is owned by who? Google. Stop it. You don't make any sense, brother. Stop it. You need to go into a room by yourself, close the door, turn off the lights, and get acquainted with who you are. And if you smell something coming back that doesn't smell good, cleanse it. Because the way that you behaved, you got a lot of stuff that you got to deal with. In order for you to move forward and become the powerful person that I believe you can be, you have to deal with this is character. You have to deal with your character. Because that was not good character. He says hieretics are not the same as Medunetter. Folks, you just Google it. He's talking about the differences between script and language. And the Kemetic language was written in more than one way, but the language is the same. So please understand that he does not know what he's saying. He continues to say that he spoke to me in several languages. You say that you speak 7 languages, brother. I would love to know what those 7 languages are. If you're going to tell me they're Nuwapic A, Nuwapic B, Nuwapic C, or whatever you're going to say, stop it. Stop it. And you say that I don't speak any languages. What does that mean? Am I not speaking to you in a language? At least make some arguments that make sense. I've never said to you that I'm fluent in several languages. I wouldn't say that to you because I would look like a fool. And you know what? That's what you look like when you say things like that. You have to just make some sense for a second. By the way, you are an amazing enough person not to add things that are hyperbole, not to lie to make yourself look better. Don't do that. That's not the person I asked to sit down with. And you continue to say that I asked to sit down with you, so you must have had something to say. That's absolutely true. I didn't expect for you to behave the way that you did. That was surprising. That's surprising. And I would like to assume that that's not really who you are. You had a really bad day. But then you went home and did a worse video, which tells me you had at least 2 bad days. Stop it. You have to do some work on that. You say that I don't wear East African clothing. By the way, the clothing that I wear, often you will see me, including in the outfit that I had that was black with the red scarf that he seemed to try to say was Roman Catholic. Those are things that are made by Moshood.
About your clothing?
He really did.
And he said what?
That I was wearing Roman Catholic clothing. All I needed was the collar.
Damn,
the stuff I'm wearing is West African. It's from Moshood. You can see I'm wearing a Moshood piece right now. There's a brother in Brooklyn that is from West Africa that makes wonderful garments. And I committed myself to wear primarily clothes that are made by our hands, primarily African clothing. I was wearing black and red because it was the color of the day. Just like for those of you who are in my tradition, I'm wearing green and white because today is Friday. That's why I was wearing it. So I'm not even sure why it's petty and foolish at the same time. He says that I was intimidated by Dr. Ben, Dr. Clark, and Dr. York because they're darker than me.
He said all that.
He really did.
Oh man,
Family, you need to
I'm
know
not fucking with Prince. I
Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark were my teachers. I was intimidated by them. I was intimidated by their knowledge. Yeah, I sure was. Because I sat in the room with them and I would get as much information as I could. Was I intimidated? Not because of their color. I was intimidated by the sheer weight of their intellect. You know what I think though? This is what I really think. I think that I'm not sure if I should not work with him anymore because he called me out in a debate in March.
He's not gonna do it. He's gonna run like he did with Cesaro.
You need to, but I really would hope that you would come to me with more respect, not because of my age, but because I'm your brother. That's what I hoped. And you didn't do that. I don't know why you didn't do it. You're the one that wanted to show slides. I showed you one slide and you lost it. Stop it. That wasn't the worst slide I could have shown you. You know that. You know that. Stop it. Really quickly, I'm coming to a close. You actually in your video read the Wikipedia page on the Nobu people. And in the Wikipedia page, it tells you that scholars do not believe that they were the people that are actually the people we call the Nubian, that they came in after the Nubian kingdom fell. And you read it and then pretended that you didn't read it. Brother York, can you read? Is this a literacy problem? And I'm not talking about the ability to actually read words. I'm talking about comprehension. Family, if you don't understand what I'm saying, look at the section in his video that he posted that describes what the Wikipedia says on the Nobu or the Noba people. Look at what it says. Now listen, I don't even know if I agree with that. I don't think that the verdict is in entirely on who those people are. I don't. Maybe they were there in antiquity, and maybe they intermarried with the people that were there in antiquity. So I'm not prepared to say that they are entirely a foreign people. I'm not. But you would like to say that they are entirely a pre-dynastic people. You have to try to prove that, brother. You have to try to prove that. Now, really quickly, I want to do two things as we close. I want to show you the images in my home and in the Shrine of Ma'at, because he said a lot about me having white Egyptians, Caucasian Egyptians as he uses. I wouldn't use either word, Caucasian or Egyptian, for the images in my home or in my shrine. But I want you to see them, family, because sometimes lies really persist even though they're clearly lies. And I want you to understand that there is no truth to what he said. None. By the way, he said something snide when he was here, but if he had really said that, we would have done that while he was here, and I would have had him look at the image, look at you in your face at home, and say that those were Caucasians. Because then you would have said, what is wrong with you? That means that half of the people of African descent in the United States and around the world are Caucasians. Now let's look. I want you to see that Prince York tries to contrast the people who are pre-dynastic with those people who are dynastic. What he's trying to say, if you listen to him carefully, is the pre-dynastic people are the original Africans, and the dynastic people are not Africans. Look at this image here. You are looking at the man that unified Kemet. This is Narmer.
All right, come on now.
This is dynastic Kemet. Is he not an African? You're going to say, well, that's early. Okay, so let's look a little further then. Oh. How about this one? This is Mentuhotep II in the Middle Kingdom. He is nearly 2,000 years after Narmer. And a very powerful ruler. His family is on the throne. His family, his great-grandfather, grandfather, and father also battled to put Kemet back together. That's his lineage. By the way, when you go to the Metropolitan Museum, they describe the fact that his queens were always depicted with the blackest skin and tightly wound hair. We have to stop this concept that dynastic Africans were not dynastic Kemetic people were not African. Why are you saying that? How about this one? You probably don't even know who that is. Do you? This is Menkaura. This is the builder of the third Merkut, the third pyramid. I'm saying that just for those of you who don't know the word. On the Giza Plateau. This is 4th dynasty. Is that not an African? That's a pretty wide nose and pretty thick lips and pretty high cheekbones for someone else. I wish this one was bigger. You're actually seeing an image of Khufu. And Khufu is actually the builder of the Great Merkut. So he is the grandfather of the brother that I showed you before. This is the only image of Khufu. The thing that's amazing is that Khufu builds a massive structure that is the tallest man-made structure on the planet for nearly 2,000 years. And the only image that we have left of him is an image that is about 2.5 inches tall, which is really interesting. Sometimes some people would say that the creator has a real sense of humor. And that's the reason why that's like that. Take a look at him. This is an African. This is an African. These are your dynastic parents. You don't have to just go to pre-dynastic Kemet to see Africans. That means you're giving away that society that created mathematics and literature and spirituality. I won't do that. Maybe you will. How about this one? This is the sun. This is Khafra, another sacred African. Khafra, 4th dynasty. And who is this? I'd like for you to answer that if you're watching, my dear brother. This is actually an image of the 18th dynasty king by the name of Amenhotep III, who builds in great, large fashion around Kemet. By the way, you'll also notice that usually when they depict him, he doesn't have a very pronounced epicanthal fold. That's what we call the feature that makes someone look Asian. You have to understand that the Asians have those eyes because the African loaned them to their children. Those are not Asian eyes. Those are African eyes on our children. That's what you have to understand.
All people and see the likeness of black people in them.
You have to understand that the African has the full complement, nearly, of human traits on the continent. People who are unadulterated. So this brother here takes an amazing queen. Look at his features. Powerful 18th dynasty king. Here goes an image of a Middle Kingdom king by the name of Amenemhat III. By the way, he's always depicted with those big locks. You hear what I'm saying? I'm talking about like the Rasta locks. The locks that if you're uncomfortable with Africans, you're uncomfortable with just seeing these people. But I'm not uncomfortable with them because these are my ancestors. This is Middle Kingdom. This is thousands of years after the pre-dynastic era. The overwhelming majority of the rulers that you will see in the dynastic era are people who are Africans. And I'm saying classically African. So I don't know why that I think that's what he tries to do. He tries to say pre-dynastic because he's trying to say that he's talking about Africans and everyone else is talking about someone else. It's a really bizarre argument to me. I'm trying to get this to move. And it's not cooperating.
Froze up on it.
It did a little bit. It's just not moving forward. I can always go to the actual folder. There's only one more I want you to see.
Queen Ty?
That's right. And this is not even the best image of her. If I was...
Queen Ty, Queen T?
Well, honestly,
Use two different...
most people say T, but I don't think that you can be... that there can be really an argument whether it's Queen Ty or Queen T.
Right.
And I said this before, and I know that our brother doesn't necessarily understand it, but the Kemetic language doesn't transcribe many of its vowels. That doesn't mean they don't have vowels. In order to speak a language, you have to use vowels. But because they didn't transcribe it, we're not positive at all times what the sound sounds like. And so you have to understand that it's if you say Queen Ty, Queen T, I mean, we're not going to fight. That's right. Now, most people say Queen T. Okay.
Now, that's the mother of who again?
Now, this is definitely the mother of Akhenaten.
Okay.
Another African that I could have shown you with African features. And it's possible that she's either the mother or the grandmother of Tutankhamun. The person you call King Tut family. Most historians now believe that she is the grandmother of King Tut, of King Tutankhamun, and that Akhenaten was his father. So understand that this is this great African lady with her features, with her lips, with a cute little afro that she usually is depicted with. That's Queen T. This is the wife of Amenhotep III that I showed you earlier. This is 18th dynasty. This is already in the New Kingdom. By the way, one of the things that my brother says is he says that with each dynasty there's a new kingdom. Anyone that knows Kemetic history would never make that statement, because when you say kingdom, you're usually referring to the Old Kingdom, the Middle Kingdom, and the New Kingdom. No one would say that if they knew history, because what you do is you confuse people who are trying to understand what happened in this society that is very old, over 3,000 years. He tries to make it sound that with each dynasty, there are more and more foreign people coming in. Yes, it is true that foreign people came into Kemet, but we're talking about a much later period. So you have to understand Kemetic history. Prince York, I teach a college-level class on Kemetic history. If you enrolled in the class, I am saying honestly that I would not share that with the community. I would not share that with the community in order to insult you or embarrass you. If you enrolled in the class, I would treat you just like the other students in the class so you can get the information. Because I actually am invested in you, because you are my brother, and that you are in a position of authority in a very important institution in our community. That doesn't mean that we can't disagree. It doesn't mean that we can't discuss things. If you behave that way, it means that you are not ready for the mantle that you would like to assume.
But see, just like I told him yesterday, Prince not ready. He was born a Nuwapian. All he knows is his father's knowledge and information. So this is why he think his father is the only master teacher in the world. If you ain't study under Dr. York, then your science is wrong. He not trying to hear.
It's what the white people gave you.
Yeah, it's like you just like a Christian, man. You coming up as a Christian is going to take a lot of discipline to come up out of that and to go and do research on your own, not just believe what your father said. He's not going outside of his father information. He don't want to study outside of that because he believes that his father is the only one that has the true information, and that's where he fucking up at.
And you have to hear that it is of critical importance for you to read outside of what your father wrote. Your father did not write comprehensive histories of people. He didn't. So you have to read the history in order to talk about history. And some of you are saying, well, I even saw a comment in the chat that I'm not talking about spirituality and that's why you can't get with me. I've always been clear that when I'm sitting here, I'm primarily talking as a historian. If you wanted to see me talk spiritually, you'd have to come to my shrine. But I'm a historian priest. I play both roles. So I'm talking primarily history here. And so we could disagree on spirituality, but we can't really disagree on history. We can try to make arguments and say, well, maybe something's not correct and something is correct based on the information we see, but the reality is either something happened or it didn't happen. Our goal is to try to figure out what happened and what didn't happen.
Real quick, because as I'm saying that, I have a Nuwabian saying, nah, Sa, you can't put words in his mouth. Did I say that to him yesterday?
Say what to him?
When I was just saying about
absolutely.
Prince did not deny it. So why are you on here denying it? I said that to Prince York in his face yesterday. In fact, he said Sarnetta was right. He said, Jabari, Sarnetta just said it. I was right.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about?
And here's the deal.
What you talking about, man? I said it to Prince yesterday, and he said I was right.
And here's the deal. The reality is that being born into Wabian is a strength and a weakness. It's a strength because he didn't have to go through the sorts of things that some of us went through to try to take the Tomhu out of our brains and out of our souls. Because he didn't have the conditioning against himself. That's powerful. But that doesn't mean that you have to now simply draw from that well. Most of the things that were written in that well were written by one person. You have to now actually get more information. I'm not saying not to read your father's books. Why would I say that? But I'm saying you have to get more information. By the way, he says that I only have 2 books and that they're old. And then he says I have books all of Dr. York's books in my house. He even says at one point that I have more of Dr. York's books than he does.
Right.
That would mean that you only have 1 book because I have 2. You know what I mean? Right. So, and that's crazy. I'm insulting Dr. York right while I have his book in my hand. I wasn't insulting Dr. York. And second of all, the reason why I had the book in my hand is because I was going to read from the book and ask you questions about it. We never got there because you went crazy.
I'm gonna put the video up today and they're going to see how disrespectful he was. They're going to see that.
And I want you to recognize, family, that if you are close to this brother, I'm not saying for you to say it in the chat room, although it might be helpful. I'm not saying for you to say it in public, although it might be helpful. But at the very least, you need to pull him inside and say, why did you do that? You have to if you care about him.
Right.
Do you think that I don't have to deal with my family, my queen, my friends, everyone if I do something wrong? Because if you're going to become better, someone has to tell you that you have to do something different. He behaved very badly. And I never did anything disrespectful to him. People continually like to say, by the way, and I want to address this real quick, and then let's show them the pictures, please.
All right.
I want to say that people continually say that coming to my home is a disadvantage for people. First of all, this space that you're seeing is the Shrine of Ma'at. It's not my home. I don't sleep down here. I don't eat down here unless I'm eating with my initiates. It's different. My home is upstairs. But yeah, okay, so this is this kind of home court advantage you'd like to say. I would rather meet somewhere else. You know why? Because when you're here, when someone else is here, I have to make sure that I tend to their needs when they're here. You'll see that when you look at the first debate that I had with Brother Divine Prospect, there's a point where my queen is talking to Tisariak. My queen. And I'm not in the room. Don't you think I wanted to be there for that? You know what happened? I think it was Daniela that said that he was thirsty. I ran upstairs to get all of the folks that were here water. Mm-hmm. I spent 15 minutes yesterday and regularly spend time trying to get people's technology to work. So please, family, stop saying that it's brave to come into my home. People say that.
All right, let's go around because I got.
I want you to take a look at the pictures that are pictures of Caucasian Egyptians so that you can see with your own eyes, family, what Prince York said.
Right, let's go.
You want to start here? We could start here. And then we'll go upstairs.
Okay, let's go.
So take a look, first of all, at these. Let's look at this one. Right. This was actually given to Anika by the Dessert Club, which is...
These are pictures that he said was white.
Yes, you're going to see all of them. Right. This is in the shrine now. These were awards that Anika got and I got. This is Anika's, this is mine, because of our work with the African Genesis Institute, also known as the Dessert Club. And this group, let me turn on the light here. This group is actually the group that we've taken over 3,000 Africans with. 3,000 Africans to Kemet with. Mm-hmm. By the way, on the opposing wall, you're going to see the beginning of a Durbar scene from Ghana.
Look at that.
I see no contradiction between seeing West Africans and the Kemetic people. I'm wearing West African clothes. By the way, he also said Jabari is not a Kemetic name. My Kemetic name is Heru Jedin Ma'at Atinra. I don't use that for all of the things that I do. But if you were with me in my shrine, you would know that. Let's show you some other images here.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Where are we going upstairs?
Before we go upstairs, I want to show you this image right here.
Yeah, let's go out.
Now you're seeing an image of Ma'at. By the way, this is even more important because I made that.
Wow.
I made that with my own hands.
Wow, that's what's up.
An image of Ma'at. And of course I painted her with brown skin because our Kemetic ancestors were brown people. They were African people.
Look up there. Let's go up here.
I mean, look, this is an image of an Nsubita ruler. Are you seeing Europeans? Are you seeing the Tamhu? This is not a situation where we're talking about the power of the Tamhu and me being captivated by, we're going to go.
Oh, that's something. Come on.
Yeah, that's Harlem images.
All right, we're going upstairs.
I want to focus on these now as well.
Going upstairs now.
Yes. So this is not one that we've shown on camera, Brother Sa.
Hold on, let me get this, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm trying to put on light so you can see it.
Yeah, look at this.
I guess I got this on 42nd Street, right? This image here I brought back from Egypt, from Kemet. I'm saying Egypt now because I'm talking about the modern space.
Yeah, I can't really see it, but
you could probably stand on the stairs there to get a good image. But this is an image of Nut, the Lady of the Heavens.
look at this, y'all. Look at this.
And if you look at her, you'll actually see this is an African woman who is a woman of the heavens. Take a look at her.
There you go. Yeah, better.
Look at her nose. Look at her lips. This is a European? This is a Tamhu?
Prince of Lion Ass.
By the way, look at the African mask that. Now this is my home. This is where I live. Look at the African masks that we've collected that represent every section of Africa.
Woo! Beautiful, Jabari.
Is this because I actually am connected to the Tamhu? No. It's because I love my African self.
Look at this. Come on, man.
Here's an image of my queen and I when we were married. You got to get on this one too.
I love it. I love it.
Look at that, and look at how skinny. Look at how skinny Jabari was there. By the way, Jabari's neck is pretty small. That was 16 years ago.
Beautiful. Look at
16 years ago. That's what that is. And now let's go in here. And I want this is the room where we were talking. Family, you'll recognize this image because this image is the one where we actually talked about this extensively in a video.
Right.
And so he actually shows me standing in front of it and says that these are Europeans. How are those Europeans? Are they the darkest Africans? No. But the Kemetic people were probably not always the darkest Africans. They were brown people. Africans are not just those people that are the darkest Africans. You're forsaking most of the community. By the way, when you go to a place like Ethiopia, you say that part of the language of Nuwapu is from Ethiopia, where I have actually been and you have not. You're not going to see the darkest Africans. Now look over here. You also saw us talk about this piece that actually is an image that shows you the beautiful Ma'at. Look at this woman here. You're seeing Nefertari stand behind her.
Where the white people at, Prince?
You see Ramesses II here. You see Het Heru here. You see, now this is the one person, I guess this person doesn't have a human head. That's Heru. Mm-hmm. With standing arm in arm with Nefertiti. Nefertari, I'm sorry, Nefertari. The queen, the chief queen of Ramesses II.
Look at this right here.
These are, look at the images here. I guess I got this on 42nd Street as well. This is artwork that they don't do here in the United States.
Over here by the pictures.
And then finally, take a look at the image of Ma'at. Are you seeing a European there? Is that what you're seeing? Why would I have pictures of Europeans in my house? And of course, it is on the other wall, you're going to see images, masks from all over Africa. My wife and I love collecting African art. We love it because we want this home to feel like home. We want this home to be a reflection of what Africans are capable of. So you're going to see nothing but images of Africa all throughout our home, all throughout the shrine, which is down below. Why would he say that I have images just of Caucasian Egyptians?
On the roof, you growing your own food?
Yes.
Is you going it now?
There's a lot. No, it's a little messy right now. Okay. But definitely next summer, I'm going to have Sa come back so you can see the food that we're growing on the roof. Sa actually asked me, this is how we got to this conversation yesterday. He said, how come you don't grow food in the front of your house? And I said, oh, we grow it on the roof. So we are also trying to grow organic food because we need to be prepared to sustain ourselves. I'm a priest of Ma'at. That means I have to have connection to nature, to connection to those things that grow out of the earth. And that's what I do. So I don't know why he would say something as foul as he did. I don't know why he thinks that benefits him. But you know why he wants to say that? Because when you lose...
Uh-oh, you got your little books.
Of course.
I was in here on the phone yesterday. I was looking at it yesterday.
And you have to understand that this is not even...
Look at Jabari.
This is not even... This isn't the major library. I do most of my work on the third floor. Okay. I call that my cockpit. That's where I fly. Okay. That's where my over 4,000 books are. And so you have to understand that where is he seeing Europeans? Look at this Dogon door. I love this piece from the Dogon people. Look at this stone piece that is actually also from Kemet. How about this beautiful sister from Ethiopia? What exactly is he referring to? There is not a picture. You would struggle to find a picture of my home of a European. That's not what we do.
Got your backyard.
Yes. And one of these days, the family will actually see that as well. You got to understand, family, that when you get around to insulting people, you then have to actually stand up and acknowledge that you've done something wrong. I am asking you, family, and I'm talking about our Nuwaubian members of our family. I would like for you to talk to our dear brother and say that he needs to restore Ma'at. Mm-hmm. Because what he said about me, we could disagree on information all day long and still be brothers. But the things that he said about me were nothing more than lies. He needs to actually take account for what he said to you and to me. That's what you do if you're really a man. So now we're going to see the test of whether you actually are a 19-year-old or a man. And the test is how you deal with things when you do something that was wrong. When you transgress Ma'at and you speak in Isfet.
See, when you know somebody, you don't have to watch it for yourself. I know Jabari, and I was here. You see what I'm saying? So one thing I know, Jabari would not lie. When you know your people, you don't need, I can take his word for it. Because I know him. But I got the video, and I'm going to put it together with this video.
And you take a look at the video that he put up. Because then he really shows his character. Take a look at the video. You're going to get a sense of really what he's like. And I want him to improve. I'm not saying I'm through with my brother. By the way, maybe this is one of my faults. I'm never through with my brothers and my sisters. Mm-hmm. Because ultimately, I'm going to have to stand arm to arm with him to actually take back our community from the Tamhu. That's what I'm going to have to do. So I want him to improve.
Chairs, I like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. These are Watchman chairs from Namibia.
Look at that, family.
I mean, everything that we have in our home speaks to our home.
Right.
Everything. The only Tamhu you would find in here is maybe on the newspaper that I bought today. You know what I mean? So if you want to say that because I'm lighter than you, by the way, not by that much, but if you want to say that because I'm lighter than you, that I have some sort of complex, tell me how that works. Mm-hmm. How does that work? Where we going? We could just finish it here. Okay. But I want you to, how does that work? By the way, you've seen my queen. By the way, we have a joke. She always says she's darker than me. I'm like, you're not really darker than me. And we look at our arms and everything. Okay, I'm going to say it on camera. She is a little darker than me. But let's be clear. If I was uncomfortable with my African self, would I actually bring that powerful queen with her wonderful locks like a lioness? Would that be what I'm attracted to? Family, even if you don't know me, you know me. Everything you know about me should be counter to what you heard. And you know very well that I don't do counter videos with people. I have I'm busy. Yasab will even tell you that he has trouble getting in touch with me sometimes. I'm doing a lot of stuff. I'd like to do less. I'm busy. But when someone says the kinds of things that he said about me, I really felt that I needed to respond. Because a lie persists even when the truth is present. You can't go around and say about me that I have this affinity towards the European. You can't say that I'm spewing information from the Tom Who, that I'm a house nigger, I'm a black devil, I'm a demon, I'm a fool, I'm a high yellow Negro.
All because you smacked him up intellectually.
Why would he do that?
Damn, man.
Family, you need to speak to him because he can't hear me right now. You need to speak to him and say, why did you do that? Don't say, oh, it looked a little bit like that was rough. Because then you're going to be giving him an out. Say, why did you do? If you care about this brother, you need to call him and say, why did you do that? By the way, if I did that, guess who'll be the first person on my phone? Now, I would have to deal with my queen, by the way. And my queen, not even before my blood father.
Your mother.
No, guess who would call me first? Because they don't watch YouTube. Guess who would? Baba Heru.
Right. Baba, see, I know, yeah.
Baba Heru would have called me and said, Initiate, what is wrong with you? I need for you to come see me.
That's right.
And when Baba says that, you're like, oh boy, I'm in trouble.
That's right.
And I've been in trouble several times over the years.
But see, Jabari, even when your own mother heard you respond to the Hebrew,
Yes.
the first thing she said to you was, why you say that to that?
Yes.
And you said, Ma, you ain't hear what he said.
Yes.
And she said, so what? Why did you respond
She
to it?
said,
that.
I trained you to love your people. Mm-hmm. And when you said to that young man, the young man was saying in my ear that I was gay the entire time. I mean, literally every 60 seconds he would say, but you're gay, but you're gay. And I turned to him at one point and I said, I'm more heterosexual than your daddy. That's the only response I had. And my mother told me that I shouldn't have said that. Mm-hmm. Because I don't care whether she's still a Roman Catholic. She still has a moral standard.
Right.
And her moral standard is higher. So she said, you didn't need to insult him. He's not ready to sit with you. He said, be higher than him.
Yeah.
That's what she said to me. My own mother. I disagreed with her. But you know what? She's my mother. So I had to listen to her. So I just need you to say, family, I need to hear you. I need for you to hear that this is one of those things. This is one of those times that, you know, when people were in the church, they'd say it was a come to Jesus moment. This is made by Baba Heru. By the way, everything I'm wearing is made by an African.
That's right.
The only thing that I'm wearing, and I know this is too much information, that's not made by African is my underwear. It's the only thing. I'm not going to show you that. But you have to understand that that's how I get down. Let me just say to you, family, speak to our brother so he can be better. I'm not through with him. I would never be through with him. But we need to do some work so we can move together in power and peace. Hetepu.
Peace.